Everybody, here we go.
All right. Well, coach is ready, so fire away.
Well, it's another week where we're talking about quarterback injuries. So do you have an update on Anderson?
I don't yet at this time. I'm still waiting. Yesterday's a pretty light day. He did not go through anything. So hopefully I'll have more news or something, better news, other things as we progress through today into tomorrow. Right now Kyle's taking all the reps and splitting them, I guess, all taking the majority of the reps, and Dominic's taking the other ones. And Tyree continues to progress and do his rehab, and they really don't have any further on his status at this time either. But he's starting to it's moving along, but I don't have any further where that'll be either.
You ever had a string of quarterback injuries like this?
No, never. 1 year as a head coach, lost starting quarterback on the 10th game of the year, and had a playoff run of 5 games with a backup, and played out well for us, but never lost 2 in a season. Don't know if Kyle ends up being the starter. I can't remember any time in my coaching career started a true freshman. So those are new experiences, but good thing for Kyle Van Treese is that he's a very mature young man who enrolled in school last January, and has learned the offense, and continues to work hard, has prepared well since the hope was to redshirt him. But yet we were always preparing him, and then when Tyree went down, we told him that anything happened, that if it was going to be that we were going to go ahead and play you, and he's handled it and been very excited.
How did you evaluate his performance? I know there was always a curiosity factor, particularly with a quarterback who's never played before. How did you look back on it?
I thought he did fine for what he was thrown into. Especially again, both injuries to our quarterbacks have had, were inside the 10-yard line both times, to be put into that situation. The thing that was pretty neat, I thought, was as we were leaving the field at halftime, he saw smiles because he was like, hey, I finally get to play. And that's what you want. You want young men that want to play the game and love the game, and he does. The interception, he hung out a little late. Guy baited him well and did a thing. The thing is, I never saw a point of rattled or a panic in him. I think there's a share of rookie mistakes that Jim is working hard at. Jim Zabrowski, our quarterback's coach, and so all things are good there. He's, like I said, his ability to lead and maturity overall is something that really impressed me when he was in high school, and and I know he'll be able to carry that on here for us.
Did he run? Correct me if I'm wrong. He ran kind of a spread, throw it around offense in high school, and the fact that more high schools are running closer to what you run in college, does that make the transition easier?
Absolutely. That's why you can see some younger players all across the country that can play in that system. That's a credit to high school coaches around the country as things kind of filter down and what you're seeing in college football today, and programs and receivers who can make plays early, because they're the 7-on-7s, everything else that go around through the country. The kids are more prepared for that part, and maybe more than ever before.
90 of his yards came on the 2 long passes on the same drive. Do you think he needs to work on his accuracy at all, mid-range, going into the second week if he plays?
He needs work, just like everyone. He's going to need a lot, but there's some chances for him. We, at that point, like a lot of people, you throw it up to some good receivers, come down with some plays for us. I think there's some balls, some touch passes that were fade routes and things like that. Yeah, there's absolutely has to work on. And I can't tell you, when you work as a third-string quarterback, how many times in a team rep situation he's throwing the ball to Anthony Johnson. Okay, and now he might get to throw more to Antonio or some other guys based on how we work our huddles and that, but how many times has he worked with him in the last month? So those are things when you get to that point, and now your reps kind of so working on timing and things and all the things that you hope for, because you look, obviously we're an NFL city. I mean, there's NFL people that carry 2 quarterbacks. So how are you going to get a third guy ready? I mean, practice limitations and timing and all those things. So for him to get those with someone, and you're still working, you're midway through the season, you went through a 7 overtime game, you're trying to cut practice back for everybody. You don't anticipate these. So those are all dynamics, not excuses. Those are things that just happen. And now we've got a week to work with him, at least on the front part of the week, and we'll see where the other guys are at, and then name a starter close to the kickoff.
Not to oversimplify things, but from the outside, you'd say, "Hey, Kyle, just throw it anywhere in the neighborhood of 83, and good things may happen." But beyond that, I mean, Anthony has an ability to make catches that a lot of people don't. So is that part of the coaching a little bit?
Well, you hope so. I think the one thing that Drew Anderson, back to him for a second, that impressed everyone was his accuracy, okay, and his touch. So those were things that maybe that he didn't. There's things that he doesn't do that Tyree does for us. There's got to be some things that we're going to find for Kyle to do as well. So, yeah, get it around 83, and hopefully there's some good things that happen. I think the one he caught on our sideline down around the 20 or 10-yard line, I think the ball was about 2 yards out of bounds, and he stayed in bounds. There's only one person who was going to catch it. Those are the things that you hope you can do. But, just executing, I don't want to get into he's just going to manage the game, because we're going to need our quarterback to play well if we're going to have a chance to beat a good football team. And I think that's the biggest challenge we have. Miami was picked by many to contend for the conference or the division championship, conference championship, and they're still that type of football team. Much like us, they've lost a lot of close games. And Chuck Martin's an excellent football coach, and he's going to have his team prepared. And I'm sure they're equally frustrated about close losses. So executing at all positions and including the quarterback position is going to be very, very critical for us.
You've had an extra year to see Anthony Johnson in the practice settings of last year before everyone else had a chance to see him. Has he even surprised you with what he's been able to do? Obviously, he's among the top receivers in the country in almost every statistical category, and like you said, catching the ball that's 2 yards out of bounds. I mean, those are what you normally see on Sundays. Has it surprised you?
Yeah, we saw these plays, okay, to say that, but sometimes you see a lot of things happen on scout team and stuff, but when it all happens, so surprised, just pleased that they continue, and I don't think that they're, he's making the, what's the saying, the non-routine play routine for us in some things, and it's he's kept a lot of drives, and sometimes those are the differences that keep you in ball games or win you ball games. And the thing that's impressed me, though, I guess, about him is that he continues to stay humble and work hard and be coachable and do all the things that we want him to do to elevate his game even more. And obviously we want to try to find as many ways we can to get him the ball.
Pass defense is still top 20, even with the 7 overtime game in the nation, and you're also 10th in yards allowed per reception. So do you think that the lack of big plays you guys are giving up has played a big factor in that?
Yeah, yes, I think we've cut down on that. There's still some things that we've been disappointing. I mean, there's things in the run game that we haven't been. We gave up some plays and things in some games, but overall, where we're at and where we're progressing as a program, our improvement defensively is very noticeable. Our understanding of scheme and getting our guys in positions to understand, to make plays and rally around the ball and do those things has been definitely has been a big positive for us. And I think when you talk on both sides of the ball is that we are a better football team, but that's, we can't just keep saying that every week sitting here. We've got to be able to find ways now to go get victories, and that's the next step in this. And by allowing fewer bigger plays, run or pass, to keep the game. I mean, to play shutout football, just to digress for a second, to play shutout football in the second half against a good team after being on the field as long as we were the week before, to me is another great sign. Okay, but what do we do this week with it that tries to get us a chance to win the game?
You mentioned the rush defense is towards the bottom of the MAC.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that plays into the passing numbers, just that people aren't passing as often, or do you think the passing defense has kind of bailed out the rush defense a little bit?
Well, I can say that you look at that a lot more than I do. as we say sometimes, statistics lie and liars use statistics, okay? And so you can look at it both ways. Yeah, there's some truth to it, but I think anybody's run defense is going to be a little skewed when they play Army, when you play a back like Western Michigan, okay? You know, when you play I think a state champ sprinter in Florida Atlantic, okay? You know, we've played against Minnesota had 2 excellent running backs. Okay, so when you look at your so sometimes in our league too is when you don't play everybody, and what are the people trying to do within their offenses. So I always say when I want to look at stats, and that's why I don't spend as much time maybe as others. If we were in the Big 12 and everybody's going to play everybody, and you could look at your conference only stats, then you can really gauge yourself where you are with your competition, because everybody's going to play everybody, and then you're going to have an idea. But when you throw in non-conference Power 5 games versus how many each people are playing, I mean, Kent State's going to play Louisville and Clemson, and somebody else doesn't. You know, it's apples and oranges to me. That's all. Those are good questions, but to really gauge where you are statistically, it's harder to do. I think, you know, you can look at yourself a lot of different ways, and I'm trying to look at where we're improving. And, you know, when I look at some of the body of work against the people we played last year versus how we lined up this year against them and play them, that's probably a better gauge for me.
Speaking of statistics, while you're bringing that up, tackle statistics can sometimes also be misleading,
Absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they not in the case of what Khalil Hobbs is doing?
Well, I think last week it's not. Honestly, a week prior, and you play 7 overtimes, and you look at how many he was on the field, 105 snaps. Okay, so yeah, he's good, you know. But I look at this last week's, then that's a heck of a game. And if you remember, I think you talked about his stats a little bit last week, and I probably didn't really go real deep with it because I kind of know where it was at. But last week, yeah, I think that's a heck of a game. And so I think all those things kind of play in part statistically. Khalil's had an excellent year for us. He's an excellent football player. He's worked hard at it. We need him to play well. It's probably obvious, and people are going to make sure they're trying to get people on him. But again, I think everything that we've made, you know, adjustment-wise in our defensive scheme and what we're doing and doing it better, has allowed him to have this type of season to this date.
In Miami, it's the highest ranked passing offense that you face the rest of the year. Stick with the statistics a little bit. But they're a team that, like you guys, is dealing with injuries at starting quarterback. So how different is that offense?
You know, Billy Ball started against us in 2015. He's got 13 career starts. You know, this isn't, you know, first-time starter. So, again, there's some things there. It's not like there's – and now that he's played a little bit, you can see, you know, maybe if there's adjustments in their offense, what they're going to do. Being able to throw the ball that well, it shows what kind of receiving core and what they do in their play-action schemes and all that they're doing. I think they do an excellent job getting the ball to the tight end, and he's an excellent player. They've got speed, good athletes on the outside that can run past you, good route runners, disciplined, well coached, go up and get the ball. So those are going to be things that are going to be challenged for our secondary, and hopefully we can find a way to get to the quarterback and try to put some pressure on him.
Defensively, what jumps out at you about them?
Again, well coached. You know, their front seven, again, very sound in what they do. You know, watching their games, no matter if it's Notre Dame or they're going all the way through to Austin Peay, their FCS opponent, they're just sound in what they do. They tackle well, and again, they're very confident in what their secondary can do when kind of put on an island and do some things. So it'll be a good matchup for us. Our receivers are going to have to play well, get off press, and do some things when those situations present themselves. But again, and as a whole body for them, as you remember from last year when they won their last 6, you know, that says something about their coaching staff to me, and what Coach Martin does is a team goes 0-6 and wins 6 games, okay? It wasn't like they totally flipped the switch or schematically. They just kept staying what they do, and they've played a lot of young players early in their time there. And now though they still have a fair amount of underclassmen, they have a lot of players with a lot of career starts and snaps under their belt.
1-2 on the road this year, and the 2 losses were both competitive, very tight games. Is there a part of a process that a team kind of has to get to the point where they're not really bothered or intimidated by being on the road? Is your team close to that yet?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of teams kind of embrace going on the road. You eliminate some of the distractions, that can happen at home, whether it be, the day of the game or the day before the game of classes and other things, and family and friends. There's usually not as many. You're a little more isolated. As a staff, you have a chance to do more things, and when you meet and do things, I think there's part of that we've become to embrace, and we've talked about it. It doesn't matter where we play, how many people are there, what it is, what the weather is. You've got to find a way to get it done, and if we want to be the team we want to be.
What's the feeling in the locker room with these injuries at quarterback? I know it's all new experiences for you, and especially for them as well.
We don't talk about injuries. It's you can't worry about who isn't available. I think guys are disappointed for the guys that have been hurt. There's a point. I'm sure there is a kind of an exhale of what's happening here. But at the same time, we don't dwell on it. We coach the guys that are healthy, and the guys that have been injured are helping coach the guys as well. And I've talked many times in here is that we've, I don't know how different we are than other people, but I've always been confident in our practice model, whether it be spring, fall camp, or even during the season, that we are getting guys repetitions that if called upon, that it's not like they're just getting thrown into it and then trying to catch up later. So I do think our guys have seen the backup in practice make plays and execute, that they understand that the person is capable of leading or playing in our offense or defense and making contributions.
Coach, between quarterback 2 and 3 last week, you had over 300 passing yards. Last year, didn't necessarily cross that 300-yard mark too much. What does that say about your offense, that really no matter who's under center, your receivers are stepping up? Reed's kind of had an off couple weeks, but he was stepping up big for the couple weeks there. What does it say about the offense?
Well, I think it says, again, another nice step that we've made as a offense, as a program. And some of the things that I think you're kind of hitting on there is that the play of up front. Now, we didn't run block as well as we needed to last week. I don't think we can play better up front. Our guys know that. They've owned that. But I think it starts up front. They understood that our offense has become multiple enough that we can run and throw the ball. I think our players, just like I said on defense, have now become a good understanding of what our offensive system is. And I think enough guys in that. And I think, especially when you talk about on the outside, I think we've been able to, inject some athleticism and talent, and whether it be, we've talked about Anthony Johnson, Holsey has played. KJ Osborne has emerged after a couple years in this program. His confidence is gained. A guy like Antonio Nunn has shown flashes, and he will continue to get better. And I think those things have kind of been able for our offense to make those bigger plays. You guys have more stats than me, as we found out here in a short time. But the amount of plays of 40 yards or something like that, or where we are at in total. Explosiveness, I think the ability to generate some of that has definitely been night and day from a year ago.
Anything else for Coach?
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.